Let's get to Purdue at Northwestern. I think that this was the most underrated, impressive performance to me of the weekend. Right? Nobody's paying attention to Purdue at Northwestern. I get it. There's a bunch of other games going on, but I watched this Purdue Northwestern game, and in fact, I actually rewatched it again today. I know I'm a sicko. Okay, sue me, but I rewatched this game again today. Northwestern's defense is just they are a really good defense. They play sound football. It's really unfortunate that their offense kind of can't catch up to speed with them. More on their offense a little bit later on, I'm sure. But overall, this was a good performance by Northwestern in this one. Yes, you probably saw the screenshots of the play by play where it was like interception, fumble, interception, turnover on down, stuff like that at the end of the game, and that was funny. But overall, this was impressive for where we thought Northwestern was early on in the season. This was a team that we thought early on in the season they were going to be a bottom 2, bottom 3 team in the Big Ten. Right now, Northwestern sits at 5-2, and maybe they don't have the most impressive win out there, but they have played impressive football against Penn State. They did a good job against UCLA, holding them off in the second half, and this was an impressive performance by the defense. Listen, this Purdue team has a good offense, and that's what I learned is that this Northwestern team can, in fact, I'm not going to say probably, this Northwestern team can get to 8 wins this season. And if they do, it's going to be because of the defense. I'm not predicting that they will, but if they do, it's going to be because of this defense. Jeff, what did you learn about Northwestern in this game?
Yeah, it's going to be kind of follow up exactly what you're saying, JR. I mean, this is a team that finds ways to win. And really, historically, Northwestern's done a good job of that with not as much talent as some of the teams they're beating. But it's all behind a salty defense I put in there. So, to put what you're saying, JR, 5th in the Big Ten in total defense, only giving up 305 yards per game total. And then S&P Plus, ESPN's SP Plus, they break out defense. They're ranked 33rd in SP Plus defense, 33rd, JR. That's almost a top 25 unit. And they've played some good teams. Oregon, they only gave up 373 yards to Oregon. Now, only 3, but Oregon, we saw what they did to Rutgers, put up 750, which is pretty insane, actually. but UCLA, 311 yards, Penn State, 274, Purdue, 305. And Purdue's a good offense, and to shut them out. So really, that salty defense, super impressive. It gives you a chance to upset another team. And as long as your offense is being semi-productive and not turning the ball over, you have a chance to beat people you're not supposed to. So that's my thoughts on the Cats.
Well, yeah, and I agree. I should have been more impressed with this team when they played against Oregon than what they were, right? They played at Northwestern, and they only allowed 34 points for Oregon in this one, and they didn't have a rusher of over 100 yards in this game. Dante Moore didn't even throw for 200 or more yards in that game against Northwestern. So I do think it's important to recognize that, and I'll be honest, I've been sleeping on Northwestern. I thought good about them going into the season. Me and Zach kind of talked about they could get to 7, 8, maybe even 9 wins at some point this season. We weren't picking it to happen, but it could happen. And a big reason was because of this defensive line that Northwestern has, which is much better than I think some people are giving them credit for. So yeah, Philip, I think Northwestern's going to go bowling. They only need one more win, right? And you look on that schedule.
It does get tougher. The schedule does get tougher, but I agree, JR. They should be able to get at least one win from it.
Yeah. They have at Nebraska, at USC, Michigan, Minnesota, and Illinois. Those are all good teams. Don't get me wrong, but
they're good enough
to say they couldn't win one of those 5 is inaccurate, in my opinion.
Right.
So
I agree.
And I think, honestly, you have a good opportunity there against maybe Nebraska. I would like it better if it was at home, but Nebraska just had a terrible game. And you have a really good defensive line going against an offensive line that can't block anybody right now. More on Nebraska here in a second, but, we'll see what happens. So Billy Tuesday says Braun was a good hire. He was. I just wish he would get rid of Zach Lujan. Because I am not a fan of Zach Lujan and his offense personally, but that's a conversation for another day. With Northwestern won, so we're gonna talk good about them. Jeff, the team that did not win was Purdue, who Ryan Brown went out in this game. Malachi Singleton came in, was okay, but definitely no Ryan Brown, and Purdue got shut out in this one. What did you learn about Purdue, Jeff?
So they're a mistake-prone team that is not talented enough to overcome that. So, and it's the same in this game. 8 penalties for 85 yards, 2 fumbles. They were -1 in the turnover battle. Last week, they were -3. For the year, Jared, they're -11. They're last in the Big Ten in turnover ratio, -11. So you're just not going to win games like that. And in fact, this is the 13th straight Big Ten loss for Purdue. Now, I say all that. I think Purdue's on the right track, though. They've been very competitive in their game, so I don't want to paint this as like super negative, other than you can't turn the ball over like they are and win. But you can see the future looks pretty good. Being competitive, that's what you want to be in the first year of a coach. And he hasn't had a chance to really bring in enough of his own players. So, want to finish that on a positive note, I guess, for Purdue there, JR.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, just as hard as I want to admit that, because I'm an Indiana grad, so I hate to admit anything good about Purdue, but
Well, you didn't give it up at all until they're at the end, Jeff. So great job.
Hopefully everyone knows that.
Yeah. No, I hear you, and I do think that you're right. Like the whole idea of them making mistakes. They had, I Bleav, 8 penalties in this game. I think they would have had more, but they weren't all accepted. So I think 11 penalties overall, but the 3 of them weren't accepted. And then the turnover issues as well. That was my main thing going into the game, was the turnovers. If Northwestern could continue to not have turnovers, Northwestern did turn the ball over in this one, but Purdue turned it over more in this one. So to me, the issues are rising for this team with the penalties and the turnovers a little bit more kind of as the season goes on. It's not totally uncommon for that to happen. So I do think that's something that needs to get fixed. But Purdue, I don't know if they have a shot anymore to win a Big Ten game this season. I thought they would, based on this offense and some of Ryan Brown's playmaking, with Ryan going down, not playing the rest of this game. I don't think Purdue is going to win a Big Ten game this season. Purdue fans are going to be frustrated, but I'm with you. I think Barry Odom has this team in at least the right direction right now. It's just so hard because everybody's going to compare their team and their new coach to Kirk Cinetti, right? Oh, Kirk Cinetti came to Indiana and he got him to the playoffs the first year. There's a lot more happening there than just they hired Kirk Cinetti. Kirk Cinetti is a great coach, don't get me wrong, but he had a lot of support from the administration and stuff like that, which that's all the credit to Indiana. I'm giving more credit here to Indiana than I am anything else. So really good stuff there. I say that to say people should not compare their first year head coach to Kirk Cinetti. Kirk Cinetti is not something that people can just do. It's far too difficult, and honestly, it's one of the reasons why he's the 3rd highest paid coach in all of college football right now, because coaches don't do what Kirk Cinetti did. So,
agreed on that. I do think, Jared, their best chance to win, though, is this week. Is it this week versus Rutgers?
Yes, this week.
And Rutgers is not a confident team right now, so this would be the one to get.
Well, and you see these teams play up against like an Oregon or an Ohio State. You saw with Minnesota, right? Minnesota played Ohio State. The very next week they played Purdue. Purdue almost won that game. Minnesota came back in the 4th quarter and was able to get it. So good on them. But it would not be uncommon for Purdue to go up against this Rutgers team after facing Oregon, and for Rutgers to have a bit of a clunker. So I agree with you. This is their best opportunity to finish out the year.